afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the SL2021-7 School Extension Reporting Technical Webinar. It's presented by the Office of Learning Recovery, Digital Teaching and Learning, and the Enterprise and Data Reporting teams. I am Tessa Hine with the Home Base Professional Learning team, and today we're going to be using the WebEx platform. And here we have the housekeeping slide. We are going to have a Q&A at the end of the webinar, so we do ask that you please hold all questions until the end. However, we do have a Q&A that you can use, or the chat you can use to interact with us. And today, for this will be presented by the following people. If you guys would like to unmute yourselves and introduce yourselves, that would be great.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lynn Barber, and I am the new Deputy Director for the Office of Learning Recovery. Happy to be here today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Powell-Moman, and I am in the Enterprise Data and Reporting Division here at NCDPI. And I work with getting some data together every now and then.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Rob Dietrich, and I am the Home Base Manager with Digital Teaching and Learning.
Good afternoon, Michael Marr, Executive Director of Learning Recovery, and I'll just be in the background as Lynn Barber is going to direct our office today. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. And as I said, I'm Tessa Hine with the Home Base Professional Learning team. For the agenda today, we're going to do an overview of SL 2021-7, Section 1.8 reporting requirements. We'll do a review of requirements and reporting processes, attendance requirements and reporting processes, and then at the end, as I said, we'll take questions. You can use the Q&A if you do have questions. We do ask that you use the Q&A to submit your questions. Please don't do it through the chat. It's just much easier to track if you use the Q&A format. And we'll go ahead and start with the overview of SL 2021-7 Section 1.8 reporting requirements, and I'll turn it over to Lynn.
Thank you so much. Before I begin, I did want to see if we were going to record this. There have been quite a few requests in the chat to do so.
Yes, I did start recording it.
Great, thank you so much. And so the next few slides should not be new information to anyone, but because this is a very important part of School Extension 2021-7, we just want to make sure that everything is clear that needs to be captured. So as an overview, there are 5 reporting requirements per the legislation. Number 1, the results of the competency-based assessment given to students in grades K through 8 at the beginning of the program. All LEAs have submitted their school extension programs and they have all been approved. In that application did include the CBA tool that you have chosen to use, or tools. Some of you are using more than one. If you have a question about which tool that is, I will put my name or my email in the chat, and feel free to reach out to me. And then number 2 is the results of the competency-based assessment given to students in grade K through 8 at the conclusion of the program. Again, this is reading and math. Science is optional. Next slide, please. Number 3 is the number of students who progress to the next grade level after participating in the program. And then number 4 is the number of students who are retained in the same grade level after participating in the program. And then number 5 is the number of students who received credit recovery in high school. And so there is one change that I wanted to point out. It is in the green. Originally, per the legislation, all of these 5 reporting requirements were due to the Office of Learning Recovery by October 15th. However, per the JLEOC chair, we have moved the reporting date back from 10/15 to October 30th to align with the required promotion retention reporting. So that gives an extra 15 days for your LEAs or PSUs to return that data to us. And then I do want to note that it is also required per DPI to take attendance and report that attendance back to us. And we will cover how to do that, I believe, in the next few slides. Thank you. And I believe now we're going to review the requirements and the reporting processes.
Hi, everyone. This is Amy. So requirements 1 and 2 that Lynn just mentioned, as you can see here, pertains to the student level results of the competency-based assessments for students in kindergarten through grade 8. So this does not include high school grades. So this requirement is for both reading and math assessments and the results of the assessments that are given at the beginning and at the conclusion of the program. For the PSUs who are using iReady will be providing the data to NCDPI, and for PSUs who are not using iReady, we are currently working on finalizing data submission templates for both reading and math assessments and also the optional science, which will provide guidance on the data that needs to be, what data needs to be submitted and in what format, as well as provide instructions on how to deliver those data in NCDPI. Again, just wanted to say this is required for reading and math and for grades kindergarten through 8. Next.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Rob Dietrich with the home base team. I wanted to go over a little bit about school extension in the student information system. One of the things that we have put in place in order to record those students who attend the summer school extension program is we want you to put kids in the North Carolina summer school program, special program, and power school. We've highlighted and linked there the QRT to enroll in special programs. The second piece is to enter grades and credits properly for high school students. We will go into both of those top two in just one moment, a little more detail. The key point I do want to make sure everyone is aware of, if you have not heard by now, Power School Live Side is not being used to take attendance, nor, and please do not set up years and terms for the summer extension in your Live Side Power School. Next slide, please. I have received a lot of questions about the special program in Power School, and there was difficulty because there are kids taking all kinds of summer school currently. I've heard that there are some districts that are still doing their local PSU summer school on top of the extension, as well as the summer camp summer school for Read to Achieve. What we've done in order to help understand that is next week in the student information system in Power School, we are going to be changing the name of the special program North Carolina Summer School to North Carolina Summer School - Extension to separate the students that are in per this legislation which we're talking about here today. We have added a North Carolina Summer School - Local PSU to separate students out who may not, who are in summer school but not as part of the extension program, and they're not part of Read to Achieve. And we've also added one next week that will be North Carolina Summer School - Read to Achieve, or RTA for Read to Achieve, so that as students go through the summer initiatives that you have in your district, we can record who was working in what summer school program that you have in your PSU. I do want to note that some of these are overlapping, that there are some students who are attending the North Carolina Summer School Extension, and that is also, from what I've heard in the districts, the same time that you are having the summer school for Read to Achieve. It is quite possible, and it is not a problem, to have a student enrolled in 2 special programs at the same time. Just make sure that you are recording the proper entry dates and exit dates. And I do want to mention that there is no need for PSUs to do anything with the name change on the summer school. That will be done through Power School and through NCDPI next week. All I can tell you is right now is that it is going in next week. I don't have an exact date yet, but when it happens next week, please don't be surprised to see it, and when those things are dropped into your instances. Next slide, please. So getting all of that out of the way, we are going to be discussing requirement 3 and 4. These are really done through the same process. The number of students who progress to the next grade level after participating in the program, and requirement 4, the number of students who are retained in the same grade level after participating in the program. These will both be reported through the promotion and retention report in Power School. This is something that you should be very familiar with, because this is the same process we have used in previous years, and it is just being recorded to, when we looked at this analysis of this report, we found that it will be sufficient in order to meet this legislation. Next slide, please. Whoop. For high school students in the school extension, the biggest difference is that first bullet, you have to enter the stored grade with how taken LOCS. That will trigger us as knowing that this was taken during this summer extension time period. Then you're going to have to go into the previous enrollment record. I do want to state that I am trying not to make this very technical because I understand that there are people on this call that are not SIS coordinators. So I wanted to give everyone an understanding of what this is. If you have questions about this process, we have linked the QRD, or you can reach out to the home-based team and we are happy to answer any questions you have if it needs to be more in-depth. On the previous enrollment screen, you update the admission status, the promotion status, and then the promotion status after summer school. You will update the current enrollment record if needed with the correct grade level if the student changed grade levels. One thing that I always like to note here is I always check the transfer info screen after I make these changes to make sure it looks correct and is reflective of what actually happened to the student during the process. Next slide, please. And the only difference here is there is no LOCS, how taken stored grade. So we will be looking at that special program, North Carolina Summer School. And we have even added, and in this case, it'll be North Carolina Summer School Extension. We have even added into the retention and promotion report, we have added and recorded that they are in the North Carolina Summer School on one of the columns. And it is the same process. You update the admission status, the promotion status, and the promotion status summer. And then again, always check the transfer info to make sure that it does look correct after you make these changes. Next slide, please. Credit recovery. This should not be a new process for those of you who have done this before. Requirement 5 is the number of students who receive credit recovery in high school. This process will be the same as normal summer school historical grades. Use the same QRD that was on the previous slide for entering stored grades and school extension. For credit recovery, you just need to make sure the how taken LOCS is correct. The credit recovery attribute in the extensions is set to yes, and a grade P or F is given to the student, and that the course name and the course number, it must be correct. So please make sure that as you go through that grade entry process, that those items are all correct so that we can flag it as a credit recovery course that has taken place during this school extension period. Next slide, please. Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, so the next couple of slides are going to talk about the attendance records requirement that NCDPI is requiring. So for attendance records, we are not requiring it for high school programs, but it is required for kindergarten through 8th grade programs. The attendance that we are going to be collecting will be for each school or location and for each student enrolled beginning on the first date that a student is enrolled. Again, this is not for high school programs, grades 9 through 12, but for K-8 programs. Next slide, please. Okay, so we have created an attendance record template for everyone to use. It is available currently or right now for anyone to go out and grab. It will be on the EMFTS site in the home base folder in the files from DPI subfolder. And you can see in the first bullet, if you go out there and look, that will be the file that you're looking for, school extension attendance record underscore PSU, and then a placeholder for the school code. When you're filling the attendance record out, please follow your standard attendance policy when you're marking students either absent, present, or not enrolled. Next slide, please. All right, so each host location must submit an attendance record. So what we're asking you to do is take a copy of or copy the template that we provided, and for each location, you're going to update the last 6 characters of the file name to the 6-digit PSU and school code number. So I have 2 examples there. The first is for an elementary school in Alamance, Burlington, and then the second is for Chatham Charter. At the end of the conclusion of the program, you're going to submit those back to NCDPI using the EMFTS site. again, in the home base folder, except for the subfolder will be files to DPI. So we will know to go and grab the files that are in to DPI. So the files are out there for everyone. If you go to the home base files from DPI and you do not see the template, please reach out to me and I will put it my email in the chat in a second, so you can just reach out and I'll make sure it's out there. So this is just showing you what the spreadsheet looks like. The first 4 columns are information that we need. The location ID, that's going to be the 6-digit school code, is found in Eddie. The second column is student ID. The third is the last name, and the first D is the first name. Please have those identical to what is in PowerSchool for the student's record there. And then we have, for the rest of the spreadsheet, you have day 1 through 50 for each day that your program is in attendance. Some of the programs are not going to go to day 50, some will only go to day 30, and that's fine, but we just wanted to make a template that could hopefully work for everyone. We also have it, we don't need the dates, we'll get the start and end dates from PowerSchool, but you just go in and you just pull down if the student was present or absent or not enrolled for that particular day. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to show in this one that, columns A through D have been locked so that they'll stay in place, which can hopefully be easier for you when you're doing the data entry. But also at the very end, we have columns for just a running total for the number of days that a student is present, another for the number of days a student has been marked absent, and then a total number of days in attendance for that student. As you can see here, like I said, it does go all the way to day 50. It's up to you, your own policy. You can gray out the days that that your program's no longer being operated, or you can leave it blank, but that is going to be up to you. We just ask that you do not delete those columns.
All right, thank you. And we're going to start taking some questions. I do see a lot of questions about the EMFTS folder. Rob, do you know who controls that?
Yeah, let's cover a couple of different things. There are people in each district that have access to the EMFTS server. I have seen it in districts be the testing coordinator. I have seen it be the SIS coordinator. Those are usually the 2 people that I have seen with the access. I know there are others, but that is probably the best place to start to see if you have access to that file. If it is determined in your PSU that you need access to the EMFTS server, then there are paperwork that needs to be filled out, and we will put directions for that out next week when we have the recording as well.
I am actually looking for that on our DPI site now, so I can post it in the chat for you guys.
Tessa did make the point that that it could be the secure shell through accountability. It is not the secure shell, but it is very similar in process, that it is a secure way to transfer information from DPI to the PSUs, but the secure shell is strictly for accountability purposes.
Okay, so the first one I have is, when we talk about K-8 for assessments, are we defining grade level by the 2021 assigned grade level or the 21-22 grade level?
And I had responded to some of these in the chat. My apologies if I jumped ahead, but it's the 2021 grade level.
Okay, yeah, I do see that you responded. Some of these that have been responded to, I'm still going to read them out loud just in case anybody missed it, so to ensure that everyone gets the answers. And if I do see an answer to it, I'll go ahead and read that as well, Lynn, if you replied. The next question: will we receive that data submission template before the 14th?
The template is already out on the EMFTS site, but if for some reason you can't access it, just email me and I can email it to you.
Okay, and discussion with iReady suggested that we can use 2021 EOY data. Is this an option or is a new assessment required? And Lynn did answer this question. She said yes, this is an option.
And if you're using iReady, feel free to have those conversations with your representative from their team. There's just a lot of variables, and many of you have probably heard Michael or myself respond in the way that we cannot give exact guidance, given that there's a lot of tools and there's a lot of different start and end dates. However, this is at the discretion of the PSU, but it is acceptable to use end of year data for beginning of program, and either end of program as beginning of year or retroactively beginning of year as end of program. So we don't want to overassess the students. And so that's why we're really putting it at the discretion of the PSUs, because you are more in tune with the tools that you are using, assessment dates and program dates.
Thank you. We've also had several questions about the recording for this webinar. It will be posted in several places. I believe each division that's involved will probably post or communicate it out on their end. We will send it out in our home base weekly SIS bulletin that we send out on Fridays, and it will be posted to the DPI site once the recording is done and ready. So we'll send it out. When we communicate it out, we'll also send the slide deck and the recording together, so you'll have them both. The next question I see is, so we need to multiple enroll students if they are in RTA and extension?
Yes, that's correct. We would want you to register that they are in both into the special program once it is out next week.
If we have already entered students to the original name of NC Summer School, will it automatically change to the new name? I think that is what you said, but just
Yep.
verifying.
That is correct.
If the RTA program is within the summer learning program, do we code students for both summer learning and RTA, or just summer learning? I believe
Put them in both.
Yep. Can high school students earn initial credit during the summer? And Lynn did answer this. She said, yes, students may earn initial credit during the school extension program. We have a lot of repeat questions. So, are LEAs required to use the template? We have already created spreadsheets for our schools to use.
Yeah, so I mean, even if you have your own template already, when you provide or send that data back to us, as long as it's in the same format that we have and presented in the template for you, I guess you can use it. Just make sure that when it gets to us, it's still in the format with the columns that we have provided.
Okay. If a student stops attending prior to the end of the program, what do we need to do about program reporting requirement number 2?
Because this is Michael. So because the program is voluntary, if you are unable to have so if a student has an initial assessment but does not have an end of program assessment, then essentially we will not collect the data on that particular student. We're not going to ask districts to go and make unnecessary or kind of make a Herculean effort to try to capture data when it puts an undue burden on them.
Thank you. The next question, should student last and first name on the spreadsheet match the legal name in PowerSchool or preferred name?
Give me a second on that one. I would say off the top, legal, but just give me 1 second on that one.
Okay, and for attendance purposes, if we are using school locations versus each school hosting a program, should we list the school hosting the program under location ID and title the file using that one school code, or do we have to include the actual school the student is normally enrolled?
Can you say that one again? I'm sorry.
Sure. For attendance purposes, if we are using school locations versus each school hosting a program, should we list the school hosting the program under location ID and title the file using that one school code, or do we have to include the actual school the student is normally enrolled in?
Host. Yes, definitely host.
Okay. Are there conditions on a student being counted present for the extension program? For example, must they be present for at least half of the program day in order to be counted present, like during the regular school year?
We would like for you to follow your own standard attendance practices and guidelines. And I just want to go back, use preferred on the attendance, the sheet, use their preferred name.
Okay. So number of days in attendance, that's the total of days present and days absent. So that's really number of days enrolled, correct?
Yes. Yeah, it's not calculating not enrolled. It actually skips over that when looking at that calculation.
Okay. If a PSU is offering an option of enrichment only camps, i.e. journalism camp, is attendance reporting required?
So just for clarification, these are students who are not enrolled in the full school extension program. These will be students who are coming in just for this, but would, I guess my question would be, aren't students who are enrolled in school extension also doing this enrichment program? So it could have people who are drop in just for this, as well as those who are in the school extension program. It's a mix of both. Because we would certainly need to capture attendance for those who are enrolled in the school extension. And while there is a minimum requirement of data reporting, we would certainly welcome attendance for the enrichment camps. For the Office of Learning, Recovery, and Acceleration, we have a specific interest and passion area for these enrichment camps, and we would love to know what you're doing, who attended, and really what was the outcome of that. Were they beneficial for the acceleration of the students? And so if it's only drop-in, we don't necessarily need that, but we would welcome that information if you have it.
Thank you. Can the CBA be the end of year assessment and or the fall beginning of the year assessment? And if so, is there a way for iReady to know which scores to report since they will be reporting directly to DPI?
So we have a team, and everyone that's on this call, I believe, is included in that internal communication with the iReady team, and we are working out the logistics in terms of their reporting back to us. I don't know, Amy, if there was anything you wanted to add to that question about which scores to report.
No, we're working on that now, and that will be part of the guidance.
Okay, and if our district is using iReady, is there a plan in place to have the application provisioned for the participants through DPI, or is that up to the district?
I don't know. Can I get clarification on that question? What is application provisioned refer to?
Sandy, if you want to post in the chat some clarification on that, I'll follow back up on that once you clarify. So from slide 12, are we required to differentiate between the NC summer schools, or can we put all into the extension? I believe that was answered.
Yeah, it was answered earlier. We would like you to separate. So again, students can be in more than one and they can be overlapped, but we would like you to separate so we know exactly what each student was doing during this extension period and summer period. Were they just in summer extension? Were they in both summer extension and Read to Achieve? Or did those dates overlap? It just gives us a good picture of what students were doing this summer.
And someone is requesting, can you provide examples of summer school program extension versus summer school program local PSU? What would credit recovery be classified as?
I believe we can work that out, yes. We just need a little time on that one, but we can do that.
Are high schools not required to report and utilize a CBA?
Per the legislation, the competency-based assessment tool was required for grades K through 8. PSUs are more than welcome to obviously use those in grades 9 through 12, but our guidance is strictly based on the legislation.
Is there a due date for the attendance data to be uploaded?
So I believe everything has to be due at the end of October. So that would be the final date, but you can feel free to put data, submit it at the conclusion of your program.
If a school has already assigned the NC Summer School special program to a student, when it is updated next week, what will the current assigned special program default to?
It will remain, what it will do is simply change the title to say summer school dash extension. It won't change anything other than that.
Is there a limit for initial credit?
I would say no.
Okay, and Sandy posted some clarification for that question she had about the iReady. She said they're currently working with iReady to send a file of the students who will be participating so they can be assessed. I was curious if DPI would be pulling the students based on the special program and sending them to iReady, especially since it was mentioned that if we use iReady, they would be providing the initial assessment to DPI.
So I have a couple of chats that I'm going to look at real quick before I mean, our understanding is that they will roster individually. I think I need to get back. I need to further look into that one.
Okay. What about students who are not currently enrolled, such as dropouts or 10-day violators, but they come to summer learning program? I know we can enter the special programs for them. However, if they aren't currently enrolled in the 2021 school year, they don't go through EOI. So they aren't reported at all on the RP report in the fall.
I'd like to take some time with that question. That's a good question. So give us a little time to research that.
And someone is asking if they heard correctly, high school doesn't have to take attendance.
High school, it's not required to be submitted to NCDPI. So the attendance record is not required.
How many days missed would exclude a student from being captured in the end of program assessment data?
That's
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't know that we can provide a straight answer on that one, given that each program varies. And again, there were the two options, 150 hours or 30 days. So was that Amy that was getting ready to talk?
yes. But you said exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, so I would say that's at the discretion of the LEA or the PSU.
Okay. Do all students in the school need to be on the attendance spreadsheet, or only those who are attending summer programs?
The
Sorry.
Office of Learning Recovery we want the information around the students who are attending the school extension program specifically.
Okay. And are we to use special program of summer school for every student who comes during the summer?
You have to for the Read to Achieve for sure, and for the summer school extension, the local PSU, I would believe, is up to you if you want to use that one.
Do we enter the special program designation for high school students taking full credit courses in the summer? What about high school students taking credit recovery?
If they're part of the extension program, they need to have the special program.
Will there be an FAQ along with the slide deck and recording? Yes, we'll create an FAQ. We have lots of questions to create one from, so that's a great idea. Does summer extension have any impact on regular EOI Power Schools reporting deadlines and dates?
It does not, because the live side Power School is not being used at all for this process.
For the name of the student, I want to make sure I understand correctly. It needs to be the same name that is in PS. I think they're asking, needs to be legal or preferred.
That's correct. And we've said earlier that preferred was fine to use.
For attendance, do we use the PS codes or just absent without any PS codes?
What is meant by the PS codes?
I think it's the attendance. They're referring to the attendance codes in Power
Yeah,
School.
I don't believe we are concerned with unexcused, excused. We just want to know if they're there or not there. Is that correct, Amy?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Someone's requesting, can you please repeat what you said about the end of summer proficiency test? Can it be administered at the start of the school year, or does it need to be administered at the conclusion of the summer program?
Danielle, that really depends on your dates. So if your school extension program ends within a few weeks of the beginning of or under a 30-day window of the beginning of school, then it is certainly at your discretion to use a beginning of year assessment, as long as it is a competency-based assessment for the end of school extension program assessment. The recommendation is that if you have a program that ends more than 30 days prior to the next assessment for the beginning of the fall, then you should probably do the assessment at the end of program. Again, there's a lot of variables in that, but if it makes sense and it's within those 30 days, you can use a beginning of year for an end of program assessment.
There's a clarification question for the attendance codes. When entering attendance codes on the supplied template, do we use the PS attendance codes or the actual words of present, absent, and tardy? So I think, as they said earlier, just use the word, I think it's present, absent, and not enrolled were the options. I don't think that we're recording tardies. Is that correct, Amy?
No, it's just present, absent, or not enrolled.
Who is responsible for providing the type of summer school special programs to the PS administrator?
What's that question one more time? Tessa, please.
They're asking who's responsible for providing the type of summer school special program that needs to be assigned to the students, to the PS administrator.
I believe that is to be worked out inside the PSU and whoever makes that determination. I don't know that we can state that on this call, depending on the numerous job titles that may be over the summer extension program and Read to Achieve program.
Okay, and the attendance template is for the summer extension program only, not for RTA or local summer school. However, students enrolled in RTA, summer extension, and local summer school must have special program assignment.
Correct. And what I said a little bit earlier is for the Read to Achieve, absolutely. For the summer extension, absolutely. And I believe that you've got some flexibility with the local PSU if you want to use that one or not use that one. I was asked by a few districts about having that, so I put it in there.
So the new summer school special program name will not have NC in the name. We were told all the North Carolina special programs would have NC.
They will have North Carolina NC in front of it. Yes, they will.
If a host school is splitting the summer program into two separate sessions, previously we were told that it was our choice to enter the special program and dates separately or all as one, i.e. first session in June, second session in August. If we enter as two separate special programs, will that cause any issues with the RP reporting in the fall?
I do not believe so. We'll verify, but I don't believe so.
That's a good question. Yeah, we'll look into that. If a student stops attending the summer program or a high school student completed their credit recovery, do we leave the special program dates alone or modify them to reflect just the days they participated?
So as a point of clarification, high school students, so 9 through 12, are not required to attend the full 30 days or 150 hours. It has to be, the program has to be offered for one or the other. But if a student is invited and only needs to do one course, then for our needs in terms of Office of Learning Recovery, the data we receive, that would be a data reporting. I think it's number 4 or 5. So if they've completed the credit recovery, so I guess that's my response, but then to the dates, I'll refer back to Amy and Rob. So I guess to Amanda, are you referencing specifically tracking attendance? And that's really one of the reasons we aren't requesting an specific attendance roster for K or for 9 through 12, because the data we need back is different than what we need for K through 8.
How should we handle end of program assessments for multi-track year-round schools that will take until March to reach 150 hours of instruction during trackouts?
Well, per the legislation, the school extension program is done October 1st, 2021. So that's why we need all of that information back by October 30th, 2021. While PSUs who have year-round programs are required / encouraged to engage in the school extension program, our office certainly understands that reaching those 30 days and 150 hours is a stretch. So we can finalize our formal answer on this. But any school extension programs that are being conducted, specifically even year-round, has to be finished by October 1st and reported back to us by October 30th.
Okay, and Amanda, I think her question probably is more directed towards Rob. She wants to know for the special program enrollment dates, do they use the actual dates the student attended the program? So if she was saying if someone leaves, if they complete their credit recovery and the special program date, exit date changes, should they modify that to the actual dates that they attended?
Ideally, yes, I would want that. And I would also like to just kind of make one more point. We are pushing those special programs down from the enterprise controller, so you do not need to create them. Don't need to do anything with that. We will add those to the system next week. So please do not go in and create that special program now. We will push them down to you and they will come to you, and we will let you know when they've been pushed out.
And is the exit date mandatory for the special programs?
We would like, yes, an entry date and an exit date, especially so we can see how long each of the students were there. Thank you.
If a student chooses to participate in the summer extension program, but only participate in the first several weeks, do we have to enter the different exit dates on the NC Summer School Extension special program for each student?
That one more time.
If students choose to participate in the summer extension program, but only participate the first several weeks, do we have to enter the different exit dates on the NC Summer School Extension special program for each student?
I would like that to be correct, yes.
Is there going to be a QRD about the way we enter credit and course info? I believe a QRD already exists for that. It was linked in the bit.ly or in the slide deck. I'm going to see if I can find that and I'll drop it in there. It's in the summer promotion retention process QRD. And I will drop that in the chat right now. Excuse me. For year-round schools, we will no longer have access to iReady for the post-assessment. What are our post-assessment options?
So I would say this may vary from PSU to PSU given your contract dates with iReady. So PRC 178 was set up to either purchase or expand a current iReady license. Unfortunately, that closed on the 1st. You can certainly apply for an extension of your iReady license through PRC 181. So I think this may be a more singular question, but I would touch base with the iReady team to see about an extension of a current license.
Okay, and it looks like we don't have any further questions.
We've tried to answer as many questions as we could here. I know there are some with which we did not answer. We will look at those and try to get this recording and that FAQ out as quickly as possible. I want to say from my end, thank you very much for attending. We hope this has been helpful, and we look forward to working with you as we continue through the summer extension program.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Everyone have a wonderful day.